sneaky little order.
I have a copy of that. Las Vegas.
Chris.
No, you emailed it. No, that's what you sent it to me.
Like church.
Well, it's a few minutes early, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Laura, can you do the roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Hensley.
Here.
Councilmember Kidwell. Here. Councilmember Teague.
Here.
Councilmember Ward.
Here.
Okay, we're all present and accounted for, so the first item of business is we will do the invocation, and we're gonna ask Chief Shipley to come up and lead us in that. And then we'll do our pledge, and Councilmember Ward will lead us in that.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you, dear God, for this beautiful day that you've given us, Father. We thank you, dear God, for this side of spring coming, Father. Lord, we ask you to be with this board. Guide them, direct them, Father, in everything, the decisions they need to make. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Place the flag. Got a pretty good group today. I want to welcome everybody to our city council meeting. Got a pretty full agenda, but I expect we will get through it fairly quickly. As far as the mayor's comments goes, I don't really have a whole lot other than I wish it would warm up and the wind would stop blowing, but we're getting there. And second thing is, I had the opportunity to travel to a conference in Washington with the First Tennessee Development District, which is an organization that helps us with grants and other opportunities for federal and state funding. Met with other leaders from across the state and didn't realize, but there's a development districts all across the United States. So I talked to some folks from Montana and Alaska and other places and heard some of the things that they've got going on and some ideas that we were sharing, and I think we have gotten some good ideas. We also had a former FEMA director speak to us on the last day of the conference, and a couple things. One, he kind of gave a rundown of how you should handle a natural disaster, and a lot of things that we were able to do in our EOC. Communicate, get the word out to people, try to do things for yourself, don't wait on outside help. It reinforced the fact that we stepped up and did some good things. The one thing that I thought was crazy, though, was he said there are 91 federal agencies that can assist with natural disasters. And Kathy knows all 91 of them, but no, in all seriousness, the guy said, we really need to work on that. Why is there a need for 91 agencies like that? It really should be separated into 4 or 5 where you can look at infrastructure or housing or natural resources. But there's some things that I think that we need to do. And then finally, if you'll look up on the board, you can see that we have done a joint proclamation from Greene County and the town of Greenville, and it is, I'm not going to read it all. You can take a look at it if you want to, but basically it's about child abuse and the ramifications it has on our families and our society as a whole. And I know that we in our community have both the Child Advocacy Center, CASA, the Greenville Exchange Club, who are all giving monies to help with child abuse and child endangerment. And I know our police department does a good job of trying to address these issues when they're found. So it's a difficult situation, and I think we all need to be aware that there are a lot of issues like this out there. So Mayor Morrison wrote this, and I want to thank him also for putting it together. If anybody would like a copy of it, we would be happy to print one out for you. So let's think about those people that are helping children. Okay, public comments. We've got two people that want to talk about the airport. I had talked with them earlier, and we're going to wait until the airport presentation is given, and if there's any questions at that time, we'll move forward. Mrs. Ikes? Ike? Okay. Well, welcome. Glad to have you. We typically recognize leadership members. Is there anybody from the adult leadership class or the student leadership class? Doesn't look like it, so. Our next item is unfinished business. Item 7.1 is consideration to approve the minutes of the regularly scheduled meeting held on Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. Those were sent out on Friday of last week, so you should have had a time to review them. Is there any questions or discussion? Yes.
So I don't see anything in here about the first hearing on the rezoning.
That was the prior meeting.
All
Yes.
right, I slept since then. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. The motion carries. Now, item 7.2 is a public hearing and consideration of an ordinance on second and final reading to rezone 11 properties located along East Bernard Avenue from current zoning of M2 to proposed zoning of M4 or B4. I just very quickly, Bobby notified me this morning or this afternoon that Mr. Mashad, whose house I think was the one that burned down, passed away last week. So it's just keep him in your prayers.
Well, so sorry to hear that, yes. But good afternoon, council. This is the second reading and public comments, public hearing on this rezoning. From our last time that this was presented to you, there were two individuals that requested that their property be removed from this rezoning properties. Of course, the gentleman, unfortunately, who's passed away and his home burned, sort of initiated this because, again, this issue of properties being in M2 zones, which do not allow by our zoning laws residential use. So we try to take the opportunity when we can to correct these areas, and this was an area that we felt did need to be corrected. So we have reduced the number of properties from 13 down to 11, and on this updated map, you will see the properties that we are referring to. And again, we have removed the property to the far west, there at the corner of East Church and Bernard, and we've removed the property there to the far to the east at the corner of Walnut and East Bernard. But again, this is to allow for the rebuilding of that home and other residential uses in the future, to not require them to have to deal with banking and financing issues that arise by being miszoned. So I have not received any other comments, or our office has not received any other comments after we have removed the 2 properties that were requested to be done so. So we'll present the rezoning request amended to just include these 11 properties.
Okay, this is also a public hearing. Is there anybody here that wants to speak to this matter? Okay, do I hear a motion to,
Who owns the flag lot?
I cannot, Mr. T, I know the gentleman's name, but I can't read it right there. This is what we have discussed about that particular lot. It is split zoned currently now, so just to, there may be in the future some issues that may have to be dealt with this lot, but we just felt at this time we would simply, the portion of that parcel that is zoned in 2, we will rezone it to be 4. And in the future, if there's some need that arises that the remainder of that lot needs to be rezoned before, we can bring that back as a separate issue. But we didn't want to do too much speculation on what may or may not be done with that
Is it the
particular.
Y and K people that?
It's the Dave Wright's a lot.
Okay, it's back behind and in front?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
it's, yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it. Okay, to move on to new business. Item 8.1 is consideration of a special event application for the Depot Street Farmers Market to host their market on Saturdays from May to October. Mary didn't know if she was going to be able to make it, so I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, something came up that I had to take care of, but it didn't take me as long as I thought, so thank you, because for one thing, I want to let you all know, this is our 10th anniversary. Can you believe it? It's
Oh,
our
wow.
5th year up here at the partnership, and we were 5 years down on the street, so we have grown, we have a waiting list, we are full of vendors, and we are very happy how community has accepted us. And so we again are and I might just put a little spiel in, and when you're planning on phase 3 of the city planning, don't forget about us.
We will not do that.
But we won't let you, because we see people walk through. We know some vendors very well. In fact, we just put Claire on our board yesterday, our secretary. We're trying to get new blood and keep moving, and because Heather Youngblood and I have been doing this all these years, and we get stale, so it's really nice to get new blood and new perspective. So we are asking again for our special event to be approved from starting first weekend in May through October on Saturday mornings, except for the Iris Festival.
Okay, we've got all the paperwork, and it's been signed by the proper people, and they've got all their necessary insurance and such. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any further discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries.
Well,
If
thank
you-
you again. We really appreciate everyone's support. This community has been wonderful to us. And Jenny, I will fill you in on Thursday what was going on this afternoon.
Okay.
If you have never been to the farmer's market, you need to go. It's
Buy local, eat local.
it's all within 50 miles.
Yep.
It's and you've got meats and vegetables and breads and candies and cookies and cakes and
Jams,
pies and
jellies,
vinegars.
tinctures and interesting vinegars and some different infusions and we
Plants.
on site. And it's just a good way to, then Kibola's gonna be there with the Cuban truck again. And it's a good way to meet your neighbors and your friends and hang out and have a good time.
Is the pork guy coming back?
Yeah,
Good, because that's the best pork chops I've ever had.
I know, aren't they good?
Yes, they are.
Unfortunately, Slap Farms is gone.
Ah,
They are selling their farm and getting out of the business and moving to Portugal.
Well, that's too
I
bad.
know, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of their regular customers.
I go with them.
That's
But then
too
we have
bad.
2 other chicken vendors, so, Bath Farms and Hilltop Happy
Okay.
Cookout. So they'll be selling.
Good deal. Well, thanks, Mary. We appreciate all you do.
Okay, thanks a lot, we appreciate you too. I've got something else I've got to do, of course.
Okay.
And the winter's over, my downtime is over.
Understand. Bye. All right. Next is item 8.2. It's consideration of a special event application for the town of Greenville to host American Downtown on Saturday, July the 5th.
Yes.
Hello, Christina.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. So yes, we want to talk about American Downtown, our Independence Day event. So we all decided in our department head meeting that July 5th seemed like the best day to have it. This is on Saturday again. We've been doing that for the past few years, and it's been working out well for us. Last year we had, I think, one of the largest attendances we've had, so it's really good. So the event details are basically the same as in the past. We're going to start at 4 o'clock. I know it's a little brutal at the heat at that time, usually, but we're going to have some activities and things to help everybody cool off, hopefully. And then it'll go till 10:30. Last year we had, according to our Placer AI data, between probably about 7,000 people at the height of our event. So that includes the parade and everything. So it's turning out to be great for us. Maximum of 25 street vendors is what we're expecting because we are going to open up some spaces for booths for people to have informational or vending booths as well as the food trucks. And what else? There is a change. They have a map for, I had one for the event area, and then on the parade route, I would like to suggest that we go on Depot Street. This is something that last year I've had the police have gone out and looked. We've had Jonathan Williams go out and look. This parade, if you'll remember, does not have the long vehicles that doesn't have like the semi trucks and things. These are about the longest vehicles that we have in this parade. So the recommendation was if they get over 50 feet, this route may be a little bit more difficult for if it's a float, but we can also route them onto Main Street as they would have done in the past. So to me, this would be great to show off Depot Street. We can have, the businesses can participate and just, I think it's a good idea.
Well, and can we just limit the size of the floats?
Well, we can do that too, and what happens is they can register through our website. So when they come in, it'll have the description of what they're having, and so if it looks like it's going to be something long, I'll call them and kind of discuss with them, see what they think. Because I still think they should be able to make the turns, but there has been some concern about that. So.
Tim, with your engineering prowess, do you think you could articulate those trailers if need be? No. No?
Me?
Yeah. Okay.
Did get my truck through there.
Okay. Well, we've got
Other
all
than
this.
that, everything is pretty much the same.
Is there a hot dog eating contest this year?
Well, we are going to try the hot dog eating contest again. Top Dog Hot Dog Stand sponsors that, so we are going to try that again. We did not have enough entrants last year, so
I challenge Chief Shipley and Chief Spano to the hot dog eating contest this year. I've judged it the last couple of years.
Had money on Spanish.
Uh-oh.
that would be interesting. Yes, that would be great.
Guy, you think you might participate? All right. Okay, well, we've got everything signed, and
Yes.
so, and I helped with the judging last year. It's kind of hard to keep up with how many hot dogs you eat.
Yeah.
Do I hear a motion to approve this?
Moved.
Second.
Is there any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Item 8.3 is report on the customer service survey.
Yes.
This is going to be fun.
Yes, it is fun. So, earlier in the year, Todd came to me and said, I want to do a customer service survey, and I'd like that to go out pretty soon. So in January, we sent that out. We put it on our website as a form, and then we send it out through Facebook and through other means. We also had flyers in the different offices that you can visit. So we wanted to share this feedback with you so that you could get kind of an idea of how this turned out. We actually looked at this at the department head retreat, and so they've had a little preview of it, but hopefully you'll find it pretty interesting. So, oh good, clicker problems. Go to the next one. Okay, so we needed to get a little bit of demographic information at the beginning, so we wanted to know if people own or have property, or live or have property in Greenville city limits, or if they're outside of it. This was a little bit surprising because 34% do not live in or own property in Greenville. So those might be people that are visiting our offices for business licenses, for other types of things. I'm not sure exactly all the things they might be visiting for, but they're not necessarily taxpayers. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. Next one. We asked how long you've lived within the Greenville city limits. So the majority of the people who took our survey, the majority of the respondents were over 20 years. So 40 people. We had 120 respondents, so you can kind of see how that fits into that. And again, there's the ones that do not live in Greenville. So there was a nice range, nice curve there to that. Okay, next one. Age range, we wanted to get that a little bit too. So 60 or more was the majority of people. That was 45 respondents. The other thing we needed to know was which offices have you interacted with? So we have several departments, tried to cover everything and even have an other category. Now people could check more than one of these. So as you can see, library had the most people that had visited there. It was over 45. Administration up to almost 45. So you can kind of see the range there. This is fun, okay? Now we'll get to the kind of the fun part. So please rate your overall satisfaction with Town of Greenville staff customer service. We had 60% that were highly satisfied. They gave us a 5-star rating, basically. And then if you include satisfied with that, which is the blue, the 23.33, you're up to over 80% on satisfied. So we felt like that was very good. We didn't know exactly what kind of data we were going to get from this, but we thought that was very promising. Did town staff greet you with a smile and a pleasant tone of voice? Again, we had good numbers on that. 64% said they would strongly agree with that, and then 17.5% said agree. So again, we were close, or we were at 80% on that one, so that was great. Did town staff provide accurate and timely information? Again, great numbers, 61.66 for strongly agree, and then 20.83 for agree. Okay, so the next part of it was open-ended. This was not required for the survey, so not everyone answered this part of it, but we wanted to know, what does town staff do well when it comes to customer service? So I did some word clouds, and what happened is basically when a word is repeated, it gets larger, obviously, so you can tell kind of the magnitude of things. So as you can see, helpful was the word that stood out the most. That was our number one of our top 10 words. Knowledgeable, friendly, polite, patient, these were all things that stood out. Some people said we had nice small town, polite, courteous people working for us. So we were really proud of that. On the next slide, you'll see this is when I let it have 50, up to 50 words. So I don't think there's actually 50 on the slide, but up to 50. So you see the again, helpful, knowledgeable in those. You start to see a little bit more variety in here. There's a rude in there somewhere. You know, really tiny, so that wasn't a majority of things, but you always have, you know, a couple of comments like that. But efficient, informative, happy, amazing, community-minded. We were really pleased with the keywords that people use to describe our employees. On the next one, we have the top 10 words for what does town staff need to improve when it comes to customer service. And again, we were really pleased to see that they said nothing. So that was really kind of a great thing for us. When it comes to promote services, I can take that one on, promote our services better. Accessibility, they didn't exactly explain what that meant, but we will look at accessibility to the building, we'll look at accessibility to employees, just different types of ways on that. Responsiveness, again, do not change, does not apply. Reaching people was one of the things. Someone did say we needed to have more respect, so these are all things that we can take into our feedback and use. So when we limited that to 50 words on the next slide, you can see a little bit more variety in there. Someone said we needed to clean and dust. I don't know what they're talking about, but I think it's very tidy. We know it's not the finance office because it's very clean in there. But you can see a little bit more on there. Lower taxes, that really we can't do that with customer service. That would be up to you all, but that was one of the things that someone put in there. So yeah, and then on the last two slides, these are really fun. We asked if any town employee provided exceptional service. If so, please identify them and describe the exceptional service provided. Well, I didn't put the exceptional service provided because it was usually a long sentence, but I just pulled out the names. Jama was our MVP, and that makes a lot of sense because if anyone who's seen Jama, she's the smiliest, happiest person probably on our whole staff. So she is at our front door in the finance department. You can also see that Lindsay and Paige and Kelsey got shout outs, William, Aaron, Bert, our police department, Public Works. And then on the next one, when you limit it to 50, a few others of us made it in there. Margot got some great comments. Paul is on there, Paul, Nikki, Officer Ellis. So even if Officer Ellis is giving them a ticket, he's getting kudos. So we thought this was a lot of fun. The brush cleanup team got a shout out, Parks and Rec as well. So we thought that the survey results actually exceeded our expectations. We expected that we might have more people just wanted to vent to us, but overall, very well. Any questions?
Do we have a plan to do it again?
I think so. I mean, I think we should probably do it again. We've got other ideas in mind on, we've got some upcoming citizen feedback we want to get on some other things on strategic planning. So I think surveys will definitely be coming from those.
Okay. Well, I'd like to give a hand to the town staff for all of this. And Lindsay, way to go, Lindsay. All right. Thanks, Christina. All right, item 8.4 is an update on airport operations. Angela? Angela flew back in on Sunday from Finland, so if she falls asleep here at the podium, we can understand. Probably a little bit of a jet lag.
A little off guard about this when I got back, so I made some packets because none of that is in your. Sorry, I didn't.
It's okay. I got it. I got it.
Thank you.
Some information. So. I think what I have on the first page of your packet, pull mine out. And, okay, good, thank you.
Gotcha.
Is our review for the month of February. We did have some high large payments. We had a fuel purchase, and then hangar site preparation were the two large payments for the month of February. The hangar site preparation is a grant project. And on the next page, our revenues, the airport's main revenues are fuel sales and hangar rent. Our fuel sales are actually, I believe, on track to make budget this year, despite, there's a line graph later that I'll show you, but, despite really over the past full year, fuel sales have been below average. So that has really hurt us, except for the good October, where we had a lot of aircraft flying in from the relief. But, and hangar rent is being increased, so we're definitely gonna work on that. That will help add to our revenue. On the expense side, our insurance expenses are up a little bit. And then, of course, we have the debt from the lawsuit, the interest and bond principal from that from years ago, which that really puts us at a disadvantage. If we didn't have that on our books, we would not need help with funding, most likely. So on the next page, the fuel sales, you can kind of see where we're at. It's got a comparison over just the last 3 months. But really what I was saying with that, it doesn't give a great picture of the long-term trends. And so that line graph, which I'm having a hard time finding, the line graph really shows how it's been down. If you look across for the past year, it has been below average. I do think that is turning around. The fuel prices have been trending down for the past several weeks, and we are seeing an increase in air traffic, people coming in, buying fuel. Let's see, let me find the other notes. And so, yeah, I know that some of the financials, especially when you look at the last page of our sorry, give me a minute, of our cash balance, it looks a little bleak. However, I do believe the airport is a vital investment for the city and for future growth. I've attached also packets. It was just an interesting email that I received about a month ago, a survey of how general aviation contributes to the U.S. economy. So that's in there if you would like to look at that. As the economic climate improves, we are seeing increasing fuel sales, like I was saying, and where we're looking at, where we stand right now, is we're really looking at a need for some grant funding, because I believe these grants are going to be essential for airport growth. So there's 3 grants that we've required some funding for. So one of these was last year's threshold displacement, which was a project done. We had to move our threshold because there were trees in the way that the property owner would not allow us to take down. So we got that done after years of going back and forth, and we're finally, for the first time in years, able to return to an unconditional license. So now that we're able to have this license, it's the first step in possibly obtaining an approach on that end of the runway. If we are able to do that, that will definitely increase the amount of air traffic that comes to our airport. Because a lot of the other airports around do not necessarily have an approach. It's very vital for some of the corporate aircraft and also for training students, things like that. So I believe that would definitely increase air traffic and therefore fuel sales. The new grant that we're moving forward with is the development of a corporate hangar, which also will greatly improve revenue for the airport, both through hangar rent, and then our goal is to get the right corporate entity in there that would fly very regularly and buy more fuel from the airport. And that for us would be a game changer for our bottom line. There have already been entities expressing interest in leasing this hangar. We don't have any details yet. We haven't taken bids, had bid opening for that yet, so we don't know exactly where we stand on the cost with that. There are still several extra corporate aircraft that have been coming and going, bringing in workers and survey people for continued hurricane relief, and many of those are buying fuel. And from talking to them, most of them plan on doing that for the next year or so, that they'll be in and out of here. So I do believe that we are, even though we might not be in a great position right now, I do believe that we will be able to turn it around and head in a positive direction. And I put copies of my business card, my email, my cell phone number on there. If anybody has any questions, please reach out to me. I would love to talk with you, with any of you, and kind of show you what we're doing at the airport. Does anybody have any questions?
I do, real quickly. Laura and I have been talking about the financials and the cash positions and things like that, and it's concerning to me because the airport is such an asset to our community. If we hadn't had that when the floods happened, it would have been a whole different game. So it's very important, I believe. You talk about what's your break-even point? What's your typical average monthly expenses? And I'm not asking for that right now. These are the kinds of things that I'm thinking about. What are your average monthly expenses, and how are we going to get the revenues to be above that? You talk about the corporate hangar, and it's going to generate money. How much money is it going to generate? Do you have a vision? Laura and I were talking. In my past, we had plans, and the plans might not have always reached fruition, but we had something that we were trying to get to. So those kinds of things are important to me. And also, if we say we're going to get a lot of revenue, is a lot $500 or is it $500,000? So having data and facts. So I think that for me, I've looked around at some of the other airports in the area, and a number of them require subsidies from the communities. So I think if you have a good plan, a good business plan, and shows us what your expenses are and what your needs are and where the money's going and how we're going to get the additional monies, I certainly would be willing to listen to that because it is truly an economic driver in our community. John Deere, Plusmark, there's probably 4 or 5 companies that would not have located here without the airport. So those are the things I think we need from you and the airport authority. Because it's, what is it, the second or third longest runway in a municipal airport in the state? We can have jets come in here. We got one, Wings and Wheels. When's Wings and Wheels? April 12th. Real quickly, I hope if you have not been to the airport, I hope you get down there to that event because it's pretty cool, and we're going to have some special guests this year, unless hurricanes or floods or natural disasters can seem to come in and get us. So anyway, I appreciate you coming. I also appreciate you, especially with such short notice and being halfway here between here and Finland, mind-wise. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to echo the same thing. I was just curious if you had like the projections of what you needed to, hit your bottom line, and he asked that. And then the next question I had is, how many hangars do you currently have at the airport? How many of them are currently rented? What is the current rent? And then what are you planning to increase it to?
I can get you all of those numbers. There are 66 T hangars. 2 of them are used by John Deere. The rest are fully rented with an extensive waiting list for the hangars. The rates vary by which set of hangars they are. The newer ones are more expensive. The older ones are less expensive. The rate increase was around 15%. Is what the authority voted on to raise the rent to. And then there are 2 corporate hangar entities that are rented. And those are set rates and set increases.
And all of the hangars, are they holding aircraft?
Yes.
Working aircraft.
That was my second question.
That is what we're working on right now with the new lease rollout.
That means they can buy fuel. That will buy fuel.
That's the idea, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
You said 3 grants. I must have missed the third one.
The third one was a resurfacing grant, a pavement resurfacing grant that we needed to do.
And there's about 100,000 coming in, is that right, Laura?
Yes, so, we actually had an issue with TDOT.
What?
To our surprise.
Sorry, I didn't say stuff.
No, it's fine. So, we have around $119,000 in grant reimbursements, that are due to the airport. They've all been paid as of last Friday. Evan Rogers at Aeronautics and I just shook the tree hard enough to where we were able to get that done quicker than we anticipated. Some of those have been hanging around since March, and those are all invoices that the airport authority has already paid for. And so, that will offset that negative cash. That'll leave them about $74,000, and then we've got about $45,000. There's a couple more grant reimbursements. We've got a fuel, was that Jet A? Yeah, she had to completely refill the Jet A tank. So there's a Jet A invoice and a couple of those. That will take those reimbursements down and get them about $32,000 positive moving into March. And without any of the other, we haven't looked at the March activity yet, so.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming, Paul, and let's keep this thing going. And then there is, Todd, you still want to say a few words? Okay. And we got a little timer. It's 3 minutes per person.
Give me a 30-second warning if you can. I think I can get it in 3 minutes.
We've got it clicking up there. Also, Bill Smeek came in, I think, and he said you could have some of his time if you ran over.
It won't take me more than 5. Good afternoon. First of all, thank you, and I'm going to go read and go fast. Thank you for your service to our community, and thanks for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I've been attending at the airport for over 20 years. I have a small maintenance and flight training business there. I've also served on the Tri-Cities Airport Authority Board for 12 years, and I'm a member of the American Association of Airport Executives. I'm here on behalf of the Greenville Airport Partnership, and this was a group that was of about 40 users that was formed in the spring of 2023. And it was formed as a result of the concerns that we had at that time surrounding what many believed was a significant decay in the leadership by this airport authority. That had been manifested by the demotion of a well-liked and successful manager with a long history of service. And it was done completely disregarding the concerns of tenants and users in the process. At that time, the airport had experienced 3 straight years of positive growth. And in 22 alone, it added $121,000 to its bottom line. In spite of these results, the existing manager was declared unqualified. That change, and it's helpful to know how we got there. That change in direction at the authority started with the departure of Roger Gray. Some of you may have remembered him. He was the first chairman when you guys were tasked with the responsibility of managing the airport by yourself after the county walked away. At that time, there was talk of bylaws, of rules and procedures, and hangar development, and a generally positive environment was developing. Unfortunately, Parker decided that they needed him in Texas, and he was transferred. He was replaced by a new chairman who was a great guy, but by his own admission knew nothing about airport management or leadership, but was simply asked to assume that role due to the friendship with the existing mayor at that time, now the former mayor. After that time, it didn't take long for self-interest and egos to overtake, and the lack of leadership resulted in an attempt to micromanage the FBO staff by several individual members of the authority. When that existing manager resisted that approach, the authority declared him unqualified and decided that a new manager should be sought. Again, a search was undertaken, and several candidates were identified, some with qualifications and some without.
30 seconds.
30 seconds?
Yes, sir.
Oh, goodness, I'm far too slow. Okay, well, so in the ensuing 2 years of new management, all I can say is we've declined to the point that they're now in significant trouble. They are, the airports around us have all experienced growth. Morristown, Elizabethton, Lebanon, Rockwood, pick any one of them in the state out. So this has resulted in most of the tenants at the airport now,
He gets 2 more minutes.
most of the tenants have come to a point that we just simply have no confidence in the current situation. And we would like the council to take the responsibility of the management. We feel like that if you're gonna have to put money into it, that it should be a situation where there's some accountability. You guys are all elected, so you're accountable to the taxpayers, the users, and the tenants. The current leadership structure is not really accountable to anybody. And we think that's a problem. We think there are some strong conflicts of interest that exist, and we would just ask that you guys would really strongly give that some consideration. Should you choose to embark on a path of managing it directly, as most municipalities do, airport authorities generally are only in play when there's multi-jurisdictional situation, and there's not one here. You guys are already doing most of the administrative functions, carrying insurances, carrying employees, HR, and most of the accounting. And so we just would like you to consider the current structure and what would be best for the airport going forward. Should you undertake that the Greenville Airport Partnership would certainly stand ready to help support you in any way we could. An advisory board could be created, but that would then advise you guys directly on the management and the decisions at the airport. There's a lot that could be happening, hangar development, public-private partnerships, and all of that has fallen on deaf ears, and we just can't understand why. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir. Okay. We'll move on to item 8.5. It's consideration of administrative services agreement between Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee and the town of Greenville. Kathy, are you going to speak to that?
Yes. You can see on your page 48 of your packet a summary explaining the changes in this year's administrative services agreement. No significant changes. It's basically some clarification in language. And then on page 66 of your packet, you can see the fees that are being proposed for this year. The total is $46.01 per prescriber per month, and last year it was $44.48, which is about a 4% increase, which is pretty common year over year.
You know, it's amazing it takes 160 pages to say they're going to administer claims.
And as you can see on that page 44, when they're doing some clarification of language, oops, wrong page, 48, a lot of it is just moving certain things together from one exhibit to another, but really it's just clarification of language, other than the slight increase of about 4%, which is common from year to year.
Does everybody know what the ASA does? Anybody want to know?
I do.
Patsy, she was gonna come up here and explain all of this, and I said, I'll take on this, but I'll let her handle.
The administrative services agreement and is basically how we operate in our claims and back and forth from administration, mostly, of course, HR with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And it is quite lengthy, I understand. But basically, that's it in a nutshell. And like she mentioned in going through here, mostly is they transferred some information over to another area, which made sense to kind of for clarification. And it's just a kind of our way of administering our Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance plan.
Approximately how many total subscribers do we have? How many employees?
Well, we have around 195.
Yep.
That's actually on the insurance.
And
That's employees and spouses and children.
Oh, well, that would go to about 585 if you were counting spouses and dependents. We have about 585.
do I hear a motion to approve?
Did we send this out for RFPs or RFQs, or did we just?
Oh,
send
no, this
annual.
is strictly, in fact, in the past, if you notice at the top, it says confidential. This in the past, years ago, it would be Todd and I would look at it, and, you know, he would sign off on it, and we'd send it back to Blue Cross. But in recent years, we bring basically any type of agreements to the board for you to review, and so make sure we don't miss something.
One thing I think we do need, to Tim's point, is I'm not sure we've put out a bid for our broker or our, really, I don't know how much the broker's done on bidding the insurance. I don't, has that been done in the last 10 years?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I've dealt with the same third-party administrator for cafeteria plan, plus this insurance, and the same brokers.
Well, it makes sense to me to shop it, and
Yes.
I think Chris is, or what are they now? Trinity?
Trinity
Trinity
Benefits.
Benefits.
There's a Baldwin group.
The Baldwin Group.
Yes. But
They've
it's
done
all
a
the
good
same
job in the
folks.
past, but I think it doesn't hurt to sometimes look and see if there's others. So,
I agree. Probably a good time of the year maybe to start that path.
yeah, because it typically takes, when's our renewal up? January?
Yes, yes,
It's
the plan is on
usually-
the calendar year.
They'll put those bids out and, or answer the quotes in August or September. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8.6 is consideration to approve the purchase of a mower for the Parks and Recreation Department. This will be purchased through Omnia contract and it's a budgeted item. John, are you coming up to talk about this? All right.
Steven,
Hey there, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. I just wanted to, get your all's approval to purchase this lawnmower. We've done a Omni-Source bid, and I'd just like to get your approval before we can get this bought.
And it's a national contract, but we also buy it from a local guy, so that's a good thing. Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Thanks, John.
Thank y'all.
Item 8.7 is consideration to approve a proposal for an appraisal of town property located on Locust Street and in the Hardin Industrial Complex.
I'm just gonna pull that up there real quick. So several weeks ago, Todd asked me to look at getting an appraisal done for two parcels that are located in Hardin Industrial Park. So I reached out to several different vendors and was able to obtain a quote from two. And one of them said his timeframe it would be quite extensive from the time frame that we were looking at. And so I would like to proceed forward with your approval to go with the Garrison Group. And Rex Garrison said that he could complete these appraisals. And actually, for the appraisal, which says 62.01, that's about 100 acres right there, he's actually going to break that down into two and see where the circle is in the middle. From the right side of that to Bayleton Road, that section right there is site ready, it's been graded. And so he's going to actually do two appraisals into one right there. And then down below to the right of where Crenlow is, which states number 63, he's going to do a different appraisal for that one. So the large tract is quoted at $4,500, and then the smaller tract closest to Bayleton Road near Crenlow is estimated at $3,000 to $3,500. And he can have these both done by the end of April.
What about Locust?
The
And
of when?
End of April.
I thought you said February.
No, end of April. And then, in the meantime, while I was working on getting quotes for this piece of property, the Locust Street property came up for discussion, and we had the public meeting at the Parks and Rec Department. And then last city council meeting, we brought this before you, asked to see what the next step for the Locust Street property, since there is one and potentially two interested parties at that site. And so then it was asked by the city council to move forward with getting an appraisal of that property. So I reached back out to Mr. Garrison at the Garrison Group, since he was able to get the quote done, or offer me a quote and say that he could get the appraisals done on Hardin Industrial Park by April, end of April. And so he provided me with an additional quote for the two parcels of land on Locust Street, here at the ball field and to the left. And that is, the quote that he provided me for that is $3,000. So he can get all of the appraisals done per your approval by the end of April.
Do we know what the prospective plans were from the folks that were interested in it that are kind of driving this appraisal?
For this part,
Yeah,
street.
the folks you said that were interested in it, what are their prospective plans?
So at that public meeting at Parks and Rec, that one was for residential development. And then we had another interested party that said that he would be interested in looking to purchase this. So, which leads me to the next question. After these appraisals are done, since we have 1 to 2 interested parties at both locations, Hardin Industrial Park and at the Locust Street property, would you all, after we receive these appraisals, like the town staff to go ahead and start doing a request for proposal, just to see what the plans that people have out there for these designated areas?
I think that would be a good idea. Make sure it aligns with goals and long-term strategic planning.
So once we receive these back per your approval today, then the town staff can move forward with working on an RFP, and then we can bring those back before you to review and to approve which route you would like to go, if any.
Okay. What's the motion gonna be on this?
I don't necessarily need a motion for the RFP. We can just move forward if that's what your wishes is after we get the appraisal. The motion I need today is if you're good with me proceeding forward with the amount that has been quoted to me for those parcels of land at both Hardin Industrial and Locust Street with Mr. Rex Garrison with Garrison Group.
Where are they located?
Johnson City. And when I was reaching out to the different appraisers, Mr. Garrison and Mr. Michael Green had both worked with local governments in the area on vacant land, industrial land, and manufacturing areas. So I thought that those both would be a good choice, considering obviously Hardin Industrial Park, and then it led to the Locust Street property.
What's total cost on these?
So for Garrison Group on the Hardin Industrial Complex, with both of those, the larger parcel is $4,500, and then the smaller one was quoted at $3,000 to $3,500. So we're looking,
8, it's a
yeah.
total of 11.
yeah. And then for the Hardin Industrial, or the Locust Street property, those two parcels of land at $3,000. So we're looking at a little over 10.
Do I hear a motion to approve, or
Second.
any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Item 8.8 is consideration of a proposal to repair town hall columns for the portico and window frames.
This one up too. 172. So we reached out, we did an RFP several weeks ago, and the first RFP, we received no bids. And then the finance department put it back out there once again, and this second time around, we received 3 bids, as you can see here listed. And the request is to move forward with Skyline Restoration with the base bid and the alternate proposal for a total of $95,960. And let me see here. Basically, that's Todd's memo to you requesting to move forward with Skyline. We did reach out to a few folks in the area. I believe the partnership had used Skyline for the improvements that they had done a couple years ago. When was that, Kendra, last year, year before? 23. And then did Cumberland, I believe Cumberland and First Pres had used Skyline too. So they came highly recommended, and obviously the bid came in the lowest compared to the other two. So per your approval, we'd like to move forward with having Skyline Restoration do the work on the portico and the, Todd did, I believe. The RFP. Yeah. Oh, and then as far as Skyline, 181, and then the contractor for Skyline here is Avery Myers.
Okay, well, we've got the recommendation. Do I hear a motion to approve?
95,000 and 492,000. I'll make that motion.
Second.
And this is in the budget too, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Town hall's gonna look pretty.
Yes.
There's 50 window sills that are in desperate need of repair that are in this proposal, so along with the columns and the portico.
So what, that's a huge difference.
There is a huge difference, and
What's being left out?
well, we've read over it, and it doesn't appear that anything's left out. I'll pull that up here just in a second. Let me
I
see.
think if you look at the quotes, the big thing is the other two say the columns have to be replaced. They're also not local, so they would have to travel in or hire contractors. So I think that's a big, big difference, but having the fact that we've got people that know Skyline.
And I'm not.
No,
It's
I
just-
but I just think
That
that's
was,
huge difference,
yes,
yeah.
and that was brought up when those are opened, and they were reviewed thoroughly to make sure, and you can see on the board here what all it entails that they plan to do, which is what was included in the request for proposal, so.
It's kind of like when we first got the quote on the project, quote on the cupola. It was going to be how many? $400,000, and it was 15 or 20 or whatever it was. So anyway, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. The last item is consideration of appointment for the town vacancy on the Tusculum Greenville Greene County Industrial Development Board for a 6-year term. There was an opening when Chuck Boland passed away and has not been filled. After some discussion, the board, I think, would like to consider Dwayne Wells as the replacement on this board, and Tim?
I think that we need the CEO of GEA there on the IDB. You're on it, I'm on it, just to say what we need out there. You know, I mean, we could not say at the meeting, say, well, let's check, see what we got out there. I think Dwayne can do it. Dwayne's a good leader. I think he'll do a good job on the board.
Okay, so
I'll make that motion.
got a motion.
A second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Joe, who's your visitor?
Well, this is Michelle's grandson.
Oh, my. Well, welcome. I'm sorry?
His name's Blake.
Welcome, Blake. All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, walk away.